We get a ton of inbound from public companies. Like we literally had a Fortune 50 retailer come to, our website and book a demo like 2 days ago. It's happening. And it's happening because our foundational content is, creating that awareness with people way before they're going to be ready. And it works.
Deals that are on the 1 yard line, your posts or your content can literally trigger that to get over the hump.
Most of our marketing has been to that 95%. Everything that you talk about, the blog, LinkedIn, we have a newsletter, we have a podcast, we're going to keep leveling up on all of those. We went from 0 to 1 on each of those content formats. Now the goal is to go from 1 to 10.
If you were advising, some of those teams on how they could champion this, how would you approach a conversation like that?
If I'm talking to a CMO or a VP of marketing at a, company that's spending 5 million, 10 million, 20 million on marketing, sometimes even 2 or 3 million on marketing, step number 1 is
Well, Pranav, thank you for joining me for an episode here. I've been a longtime fan and follower of yours. You have a very interesting and I think perfect background and expertise for what this show is all about. So number one, right now, you're the founder and CEO of a company called Paramark, which helps B2B companies and marketers, CMOs, VPs of marketing, director of demand gens measure the effectiveness of their marketing programs at like the highest level. I know there's a lot of nuances there, but it's a platform to help them do that, which is a really difficult problem to solve. But also you have a lot of experience, leading marketing yourself. And so, yeah, I think like there's a lot we could probably go into today with the combination of the background and experience you have. But the thing I'd love to spend a lot of time on is something that comes up a lot, honestly, in my world and what we face as marketers and like modern content marketers, which is essentially like our buyers are hanging out now on 10, 20 times more platforms than they were 10 years ago, where we could capture them with SEO optimized blog posts and events and kind of cold outbound and some of the just, few key levers there were back then. But now there's LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, newsletters, webinars, short form video, like the list goes on. And those channels all work well because that's where people are hanging out. But then there's this mismatch with like, well, they work well, but how do we know? And sometimes the data is not a 1-for-1 there. So yeah, maybe if there's any other context for what you're working on right now with Paramark, and then maybe we could go into like some of that stuff, big picture.
No, that's great. And I think, also thanks for having me here. It's been fantastic kind of listening to you and watching you support other, creators over the last several years. You've always been in the back of my mind as somebody I would like to talk to at some point. You described what we do really well. So it's all about sort of the effectiveness of marketing channels, campaigns, strategies. And then sort of the one level beyond that is how do you grow the effectiveness, right? So how do you test the effectiveness of new things that you are launching and providing a little bit of a scientific measurement that will help you make better decisions. And instead of the spray or pray, you start to get a little bit more targeted. Okay, now, to your question of these things that are harder to measure, and are these channels sort of working or not working for B2B? The first thing that I have come to realize, and this is like just based on my own personal sort of execution, there is so much nuance in the channel, the format, and the content.
Yep.
And so let me explain. I don't know if your listeners will appreciate this or not, but there was a time when video was doing well for me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And there's a time when video is just like absolutely tanking for me.
Yep.
And nothing about the content has changed, but I believe something else has changed, and I have to figure out what has changed. And so the thing, and you can apply that same sort of, mentality to any channel, is first, you have to be on the channel long enough
Yep.
and you have to be native to the channel long enough for you to have any shot at knowing what's really going on. If I just dip in and dip out, you got such a small sample of what's possible that you're never actually going to be able to tell what's working and what's not. Okay? This is without any fancy measurement. This is just like me talking about it from my own personal
Yes.
experience. Now, think about my own YouTube experience, all right? Short form. Let's talk about short form. I'm happy to admit that I do doom scroll once in a while, And so when I'm doom scrolling, what am I looking for? Comedy, maybe a little bit of sport. That's it. Those are my two sort of vices when it comes to short form video. Sometimes maybe some fitness influencers because I'm into, lifting and trying to get fit. I'm almost 40 now. I'm like, I need to get fit. So when you think about it from your, if I see business content on my YouTube shorts, it's going swipe. And so if I'm not a user of these platforms, I have no way of knowing as a producer what is going to work and what is not going to work. Okay, so can you do morning brew style comedic content on news items? That I watch, right? But I don't think of it as business content. I think of it as comedy. So that's an example of where I think a lot of folks, not just B2B, but even B2C, are going to miss out. It's not about pushing your thing. It's about understanding what is the customer, the consumer, the user on that channel, on that media, on that format looking for, and how do you insert your storytelling into that format? So that's my first thing that I would say. Regardless of all the measurement, you gotta get dialed in on your user, their consumption habits, their what exactly is the job that they're trying to get done on that platform. Then you add in the measurement stuff, and we can talk about measurement. I think that's like relatively easy in my opinion. Yeah, tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a couple things here with this, in my opinion, which is one, I think very often as marketers, we can have a good idea, actually very often, very close to what is true on what our audience prefers, like what angles of our content would be effective on what platforms and in what formats. But let's say we get that 80% right. The difference between 80 and 95 or 100% is very, very meaningful. And where we get that information from, I find a lot of marketers skip, which is asking the audience leading up to the creation of the content. So for example, if somebody was trying to get your attention and you were the perfect ICP for them, and then there was many other versions, many other people like you, it would be a good idea for that company to try to get run a survey, get on 5 qualitative calls, even just 5, like 5-10 calls. Hey, Pranav, we're just curious, what podcasts do you listen to? What YouTube channels do you follow? What are you doing when you're on YouTube? What mind state are you in? What time of day is it? Like all these things I often find, even as small as like 5-10 calls, 30 minutes. Will provide massive unlock where you maybe don't have to shift gears, 50%. You just actually get more dial. That 25% more dial makes 300% better result type of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that audience research is like, I say this to a lot of marketers actually, is like, when was the last time you left the office and went and talked to an actual customer? Just hung out with them, got to know them deeply, and not their marketing habits, just get to know them as people, you know? And if you're not doing that, I think it's very hard to be a marketer.
And I think people skip it sometimes, this particular piece, because it sounds like something that would take 3 months, a lot of money. You'd have to you need statistical significance and all these things, and it it feels complicated. So I like to
That's
just
right.
break it down. It's like, what about just 5 phone calls? Like, and just
Yeah.
like, that's better than zero.
Yeah.
That's infinitely better than zero.
And I think there's if you talk to some researchers, they will tell you that 7 to 8, maybe 10 qualitative conversations, if you've done your targeting right,
Right.
are usually enough to
Mm,
give you the requisite information that can then be turned into a more scaled
mm,
survey.
yep.
So you don't go straight to a scaled survey. You start with understanding what do you even need to ask.
Mm,
And so those all come from these more,
yes.
subjective, qualitative, long form conversations.
Smart.
And then you feed that into sort of a more scaled approach if you need it, right? At our
Yeah.
stage, we don't need it. 10 conversations is perfect.
Yeah. So then let's go down the path of, I guess there's a couple ways we could take this. Number one is there's some cases where the marketing team fundamentally believes in this new modern version of content marketing, brand marketing, 95% marketing, which is we need to be on LinkedIn, whatever, let's just say all, whatever the channels end up being, but could be LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, newsletter. We need to do webinars, whatever the case may be, one or all of those. But the leadership team isn't necessarily bought in yet. So that's number one. It's like they need a framework for how to describe to the leadership team what this type of marketing is going to do for us and how we'll measure it. And then afterwards, it's like we actually need to implement the measurement, tools and what the effectiveness of these programs actually looks like. So yeah, I know those are big questions and big topics, and you have I'll just let everybody know, like your blog, you've got great resources on your website for some of these topics. Like you had a great blog post around measuring brand marketing, for example. And so, yeah, however you want to take that, either from a high level or we could kind of get into some of the details. But how would you, if you were advising, some of those teams on how they could champion this and the structure they can put in place so that they're not over committing to what's possible, because they're part of what is here is like LinkedIn works. How long it will take, like that's proven. Like if there's companies out there making it work for them, it is proven that the channel works. Will it work? How it will work for you in terms of to what degree and over what timeline? There's a lot of variables there on how much you're putting into it, what ways you're putting into it, and how you're measuring it over what timeline. So how would you approach a conversation like that if you were, advising someone?
That's the toughest part of what we do, is that education and alignment at the highest levels. So I typically tell, if I'm talking to a CMO or a VP of marketing at a company that's spending 5 million, 10 million, 20 million on marketing, sometimes even 2 or 3 million on marketing, step number one is getting very crisp with your finance leader and your CEO on what is the measure of success for marketing. And people will create these fancy dashboards and scorecards which has 12 different metrics over 24 different months.
Yep.
And no. There's usually only 3 things. So what are those 3 things? And I'm going to tailor this down to like B2B SaaS, because I think that's the audience. With maybe a consideration cycle of, take it 90 days, maybe sometimes 6 months. It can go up to, 120, 180 days. So what do you do in those environments? It's going to sound blasphemous to everybody, but my number one favorite metric is some measure of traffic.
Yeah.
Not all traffic. Maybe it's qualified traffic. Maybe it's traffic to your pricing page, your demo page, your key, product solution pages. Maybe it's your dev docs. Maybe it's your help center. But this concept of qualified traffic, which means people who are truly on their website doing research, because guess what? Regardless of what people are telling you on AI and LLMs, humans are doing their research by looking at your website, your LinkedIn page, your profile, and making a determination of whether they want to even raise their hand
Yep.
in 2 months to want to talk to you. And this is especially true if you have a high consideration product.
Mm.
If it's a $9 a month SaaS app, very different.
Right.
If it's a $90,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
B2B SaaS enterprise engagement, very different.
Yep.
So qualified traffic, number one.
Yep.
And the reason I tell people, like, how do you communicate this to your CEO? Here's a simple framework. Hey, CEO, CFO, we're going to launch a new marketing campaign. We know our consideration cycle is 6 months. We're going to run this as an experiment. Can we get 6 months to wait until I report back on the result of this experiment?
Mm.
Because we know that the sales cycle is 6 months, right?
Mm.
Like, that's a very simple conversation to have. It's not complicated.
Right.
That you can't expect marketing to launch a campaign
Mm-hmm.
and give you results next week or next month if the sales cycle is 6 months.
Right.
So what are those leading indicators? Qualified traffic is a great one.
Yep.
The second one that I talk about all the time is you have to have a customer-led buying process.
Mm.
What is a customer-led buying process? It means that people can raise their hands and engage with you, not because they are trying to get a price point, but because they truly want to understand the product and whether it will work for them.
Mm.
And so many people will hide their pricing, will make it hard to book a demo, will not share information, publicly because they're worried about competitors. They're worried about, well, we're not all buttoned up yet, so we're nervous about, showing up in a certain way. So the more inauthentic you are as a brand, the harder your measure of success is going to be, because what happens is you just put an email capture and then you complain about quality. Well, why are you complaining about quality? Because people are like, I don't even know if this is the right thing for me. So I just need to get some information. So you're saying book a demo. I put in my information to book a demo. Within the first 10 minutes, I know that this is not the right thing for me. So I bounce. And it looks like marketing qualified lead was bad. It's all BS, right? Like, if you're showing up authentically, that means your pricing is transparent, or at least grokkable. Your product is grokkable. You are very clear about who you are meant for. Then when people raise their hand and book a demo, they've done their research. They're not going to be surprised. So if you do marketing right, qualified traffic, hand raisers, great metrics to build off of. And I can tell you for a fact, 95% of B2B companies are not going to do this.
Why do you think that
They're not going to do this because they're coming from a position of defensiveness, and they're not playing offense. And what that means is, marketing teams have been beaten to a certain point where they are afraid of doing all the right things in marketing, because you put pricing out there and now sales is, kind of screaming at you, hey, I need to be able to customize the pricing. I lost a deal because you put pricing on. I'm just making these hypotheticals up. So doing this takes alignment and courage at the top. And so if the CMO is not having these conversations about qualified traffic, true marketing, and true demo requests, and then, if you want to track sort of bottom funnel, events like meetings booked with sales or sales qualified opportunities, the delta between you doing marketing and something becoming a sales qualified opportunity is 90 days. I can tell you that just from my own experience. And so there's no way you're going to wait 90 days for an experiment result. So boiling it all back up, it's about aligning on the measures of success between the CMO, the CEO, and the CFO, and being very clear. This is what we're going to measure. Yes, it's not telling you how much revenue I'm adding to the, to the P&L, but I'm going to give you a very clear sense of our qualified traffic, our hand raisers, and how much is it going up or down by month over month. And hey, somebody in finance or data science should be able to work with us to translate that into how that will impact revenue 2 months, 3 months, 4 months down the line. And oh, by the way, can we go hire that data scientist? Or if you don't have budget for that data scientist, can we go hire Paramark, with my plug, to figure all this out for you, right? There's no replacement to that. That's the most important conversation.
there can sometimes be this thought, which I think we in like the content world should not shy away from, which is like ultimately our proposal of doing a YouTube channel or doing a podcast or doing a customer focused value add newsletter, like a weekly educational newsletter, not about like links to our new product feature updates and things like that. All of those things ultimately should result in increased revenue to the
Hmm.
company over
Hmm.
time. The question,
Hmm.
and all we're talking about here is like, how can we make sure we're on the right track towards that? Um,
Hmm.
one of the challenges I think that can come from that is this concept of the 95/5, which has become much more popular, I think, of a
Hmm.
topic, which is 95% of the market's not in market today, but they
Hmm.
will be likely at some point in the future when they have a need. The problem with or the challenge with doing a YouTube channel playbook, for example,
Hmm.
is that they're not in market at the moment, and we don't know when they will be in market. So your concept of like having an experimentation timeline like mapped out, I think is very smart, because like the inherent in this strategy is like we're not trying to convert the 5% with this
Hmm.
particular campaign right now. So we can't measure this on a 90-day window
Hmm.
because, for example, a big part of the portion of the audience we're going after here that our competitors most of them are not focused on, um,
Hmm.
they're in a contract with our competitor for the next 8 months or the next 12
Yep.
months or whatever. So they're not, this isn't even on their radar of like a switching opportunity yet. But when they're 3 months out from that renewal, maybe that
Yep.
9 months from now, maybe they will start exploring. And then they've been following our YouTube channel for the last 9 months. And so that's when their individual qualified traffic number hits our website, 9 months later. Is that how you think about that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the way I think about it is precisely what you said just now is for that 95% that are not in market and everybody listening going like, I'm not again 95.5, whatever that number is. If it's
Yeah.
60, if it's 50, if
Yeah.
it's 75,
Exactly.
whatever it is. But people who are not actively in the buying cycle, um, if you can get them to engage with your content and with your website, that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
old school reach and frequency
Mm.
type of mentality, which is,
Yeah.
am I reaching everybody in my TAM and how often am I reaching them?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, that's also a function of how much can I afford?
Yes.
So yeah, of course, if I'm a startup and I have, a very sort of low budget, I probably can't do too much of that, 95%. That's the natural limitation. Go
Totally.
figure out how to make more money as a business, and then you can invest that
Yep.
in growing your business, right? So there are some natural laws to all of this. Um, and measure that through, are you able to get people to your website? Are you able to get people to search for your brand, right? So
Yes.
search query volume is a great, fantastic top of funnel metric as well. If you have a unique enough name and you're not like
Yeah.
a common sort of word in the dictionary. And so that's how I think about it, right? When we do marketing, we actually don't do much bottom of the funnel. We haven't done that at all. Most of our marketing has been to that 95%.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it has worked for us is we did it from day one.
Yeah.
So we were never addicted to, I'm paying for a search ad and looking for people who are looking for better attribution and measurement.
Yeah.
And like, that's not the game that we were going to play because there's no way we can win that game.
Mm.
The game that we can win is getting people to think about us way before they're even ready.
Yes.
And that works out really well for us. We get a ton of inbound from public companies. Like we've literally had a Fortune 50 retailer come to, our website and book a demo like 2 days ago. Like, we have no business being in that, category just yet, but guess what? It's happening. And it's happening because our foundational content is creating that awareness with people um, way before they are going to be ready. And it works. We're a living example of that.
Hmm. Yeah. And on the budget side of things, to your point, not everybody has the luxury of having what they would consider to be the amount of budget they would love to have for the 95% approach. But my take on this is set the amount of budget that you can allocate to those strategies that you would be comfortable spending forever. And then
Yep.
as time goes on, maybe you can increase, even if that's a low amount to start, like whatever you would consider, a low amount. But I kind of feel like the worst thing that you can do, maybe I'm curious what your take on this um, is set a like LinkedIn experimental budget. Like we're gonna devote time, and maybe we'll hire some people to help us with like LinkedIn organic. Like I want our thought leadership on LinkedIn to really be crushing it. I want people to open up LinkedIn, our ICP, and they see something about Paramark somewhere, somehow, from me or from other content I've done elsewhere, people posting about us, what have you. But if you, when you were starting out, which you didn't do, I mean, you've been doing this since day one, which has been a long time, but you're like, I'm going to test it for 90 days and see how that goes.
Yeah.
That would have likely led you to the wrong conclusions. Cause even on my, even on my journey, with content, the stuff, I hate to say it cause it's a common thing, but like, it is going to take you time to like figure it out and crack it. I personally committed when I really went heavy, like I committed to posting on LinkedIn 1 time per day for a year, and then it worked. Like it's actually it's hard, but it's simple. Like at the same time. So what's your take on like budget allocation for that kind of thing?
I think the way to think about the budget allocation piece is it's hard when you are a small company, but I can tell you how to think about it once you've hit a certain amount of scale. And when you're a small company, I think, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. And I'll share my own experience. When I did this, I did it myself for the first year.
Yeah.
I just showed up every day and I talked about stuff. And, some of it was good, some of it wasn't. I wasn't really sure what the right messaging was going to be, what our audience is going to care about. But it was just, kind of testing and learning. And after a year of doing it and seeing inbound DMs, screenshots in my email inbox where people are literally saying, hey, love this stuff. Can we get a demo?
Yep.
Right. You build enough anecdotal evidence where I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to actually put money behind this because guess what? It's working and I think I can delegate it. So you either do it from your own personal experience or you already have lived experience. Like if I were starting a completely new company, I wouldn't take the same playbook, right? I would just go hire somebody day one and just do this because I know it works.
Yep.
So you either have lived experience or go get that experience firsthand.
Yep.
But those are your only 2 options. And so CMOs who are struggling with this, I mean, honestly, I would say get your hands dirty. And there's do you know Tom Wentworth at
I
at
know
Incident?
of him.
Yeah. And I think he does a great job of showing up. I think his team is like tiny. It's like 2 or 3 people. At least that's what I'm aware of. And he's always there hustling Incident.
Yep.
And so you either have to have that mentality or you have to have somebody on your team who has that mentality.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure, he can convince his CEO to do some of it because his CEO does do some of it now.
Yep.
But for many CEOs, that's not going to work because they're just not that extroverted and going to go out there and talk in their personal brand. So somebody in marketing has to lead with example and show how it's done and get enough momentum. And you can't be phased by, oh, it's not working. Like you just have to power through it. That is marketing.
Yes.
And so that's my point about being defensive versus offensive, right? You're
Totally.
playing offense and you are showing everybody how it's done.
Mhm.
Then do a good job of it. You're a marketer, right? Like,
Yes.
don't give up after 90 days. Like, come up with the right creative and the copy and the statics and the videos. Like,
Yep.
and this is where I love AI. Like, you have the world's information at your fingertips. Go figure it out. Don't complain.
Yes. And I'm such a believer in like perfection through iteration through this journey. Like when you start out, it's not going to be great. It's more about like the goal, honestly. Just like if we take a small company perspective, like we're going to be scrappy. In my opinion, the goal is to get out content every single day. If you get it out,
Yeah.
then you've achieved success, because at day 100, something's going to hit. And then you're going to realize like, oh, I'm on to something here. And not only like will that get you the reach and frequency that you were describing, but also from a small company standpoint, especially if leadership or the CEO is like helping lead the charge on it, or head of marketing, it actually helps inform your company direction a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Like who are the personas that are resonating with what we're saying the most? What segments of the market? How are we describing what we do? Our positioning, our messaging, all of these things, this feedback loop, all of these things are connected to each other, not just on the, acquisition funnel, to get the demo requests. And so I'm really bullish on that feedback loop as well. So yeah, how else are you thinking about your all's own marketing? Like because you all are doing this too.
Yeah.
So yeah, any interesting insights you've seen lately? You do a lot of content. You're on LinkedIn all the time. You're very proficient, executing really well on LinkedIn. You all have got a podcast. Yeah, you've got your blog, which is really great. Yeah, what sort of things are you seeing right now that you're like excited about, or have been working really well, interesting insight, anything like that?
It's interesting. Somebody who's in our database, in our pipeline, somebody I know about, they're in between jobs, and they pinged me the other day and said, "Hey, by the way, I love the podcast. I'm like binging all the episodes." Right? It's like, that's all I need.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know, that, okay, if you are able to influence people who are in pipe, or, they're in between jobs, they'll become a customer in the future.
Yep.
And you're building that, mental availability with them, you're building that connection with them. It all works. I get the similar type of responses on LinkedIn DMs, where people are like, "Hey, love your content. It's helped me so much with X, Y, and Z." And I know that person is never going to be a customer because they're not ICP, but our content is still helping them. We'll get emails in our inbox with like, literally, "Hey, can you send me that post that you talked about?" And I send them a custom written blog post, particularly for their use case, about how to talk to your CFO about incrementality. Right? It's like, so the purpose of being everywhere all at once is getting feedback from the market on what's resonating, what's not resonating, to your point, and then doubling down on the things that are resonating and just continuing to execute. So everything that you talk about, the blog, LinkedIn, the newsletter, we have a newsletter, we have a podcast. We're going to keep leveling up on all of those. We went from 0 to 1 on each of those content formats.
Yep.
Now the goal is to go from 1 to 10.
Yep.
So I'll give you a concrete example. Our podcast is good, but like, isn't it great? No, it's not. Like the title I thought was cute. It's called The Marketing Scientists, like a little bit interesting, but I'm like, do people really want to open up a marketing science podcast? It sounds boring as hell, right? So like, you have to be self-critical to be able to understand how you went from 0 to 1. We get, hundreds of listens, but how do you get to 1,000? How do you get to 10,000? And you have to understand the customer psychology around that.
Yes.
So we have some big plans on, we're going to redo the whole podcast and level up. Right? We started newsletter. We started back in September of last year. We did two sends, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is too much work. I can't do it. And then so now we are rebooting, and we have a whole process of launching a biweekly newsletter. It's great. We're doing a custom newsletter, and this is all based on feedback that we're getting from customers.
Yeah.
So content is always going to be the biggest part of our investment. We spend a significant amount of money, frankly, on all of these different formats.
Mhm.
And then, from a advertising perspective, oh, by the way, we have a YouTube channel. We
Yep.
do all types of crazy YouTube stuff, which we're still figuring out how to crack the code on it. It's different. It's a new channel. I have never done YouTube before. Um, we have some signs of success, but not all the way there. So it's playing on all these organic channels, right? You will not hear me mention ads up until now. Now we're going to start ads.
Mm.
So probably just one channel at a time. That's going to be LinkedIn.
Yep.
And why is it going to be LinkedIn? I know our audience is there.
Yes.
We've built our entire pipeline and sales off of that one channel. So I don't want to go to Google and YouTube and Meta. Don't need to. Let's figure out LinkedIn. Let's crush it. Then we'll go to some other channels. So that's another strategy for us is like one thing at a time.
Yes.
And level up, level up, level up. And, by the end of it all, it should all be working in unison.
Yeah, I think sometimes people forget like some of the value of doing this content is not just about somebody who's the right persona, the right buyer, finding that content and then inbounding to you. Yes, we want that. And like that will happen. But sounds like you have, and I personally have as well, and a ton of our clients have seen this effect of like deals that are on the 1 yard line. Like your posts or your content can literally trigger that to get over the hump. Or
Agreed.
it can remind them, it's like, hey, oh yeah, I need to like love that. And I need to get back and push this through. We need to prioritize this. And like that helps move that deal forward. Or like a content, like word of mouth referrals is like such a powerful source of traffic and inbound. And so this content, that person, I think it was, you said the person who emailed you wasn't ever going to be a buyer because they weren't the right persona, but that person may have a friend who is, and then they recommend you as a result. And that happens more than we would, more than we can measure for sure. And so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I know somebody on LinkedIn. They're an acquaintance. I've met them at an event and they're wonderful. They're an independent consultant. And they somehow found out that this retailer is doing a massive RFP in our domain. And so, they were connected to them personally. And so that massive retailer reached out to us and included us in the RFP. We just submitted it this morning. We'll see if we get that. Like there is no logical reason why that should have happened, right?
Yeah.
And if I were to try and game plan that, you can't.
Yeah.
So the butterfly effect is very real in modern marketing. And this traditional like funnel type of thinking is pretty dead.
Yes.
And you need to embrace this chaos and this, I'll just adopt vibe marketing because that shit works.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And that's where it's like, yeah, I like your framework. Like, I think the goal and what I'm trying, you're doing a great job of, and what I try my best to do is like arm the people who believe in this with the better ability to go and execute it with the way that, with the resources and company mindset that they need to be successful with it.
I will also say, Eric, like if somebody's listening into this and going like, yes, I'm taking notes and I'm like jotting it all down and I'm going to go give this a great shot. I don't know that this is repeatable in that way. And so I'm going to take the counter position here.
Good.
Over the course of the last 15, 20 years, there's a lot of dots that I have connected to enable me to get to this point where my conviction is stronger than ever in this type of marketing. So yes, I can sit here and talk about it. Yes, this is what I did, and like it's all gonna work. And like if you haven't connected the dots for yourself, no checklist or playbook or podcast is going to convince you to the level that you need to be convinced for this to work. So if you're listening to this, don't make that checklist. Think deeply about your own convictions, about your own beliefs. And do you truly believe this?
Right.
Because if you don't, not going to happen.
It's a really good point. It's actually one of those things on a slightly similar note. I used to try to convince some of my friends to become entrepreneurs. Um, then I realized after a couple years of that if I have to convince someone to be an entrepreneur, they definitely should not be an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And then they'll probably get mad at me later that I convinced them and that it's much harder than I made it seem, because it is. And so
Precisely.
it's similar
Precisely.
concept here. Yeah, I agree. Are there any other sort of tactical approaches? So one thing I like to think about too is like, so those three things you mentioned: qualified traffic, hand raisers, SQOs. Um, the leading indicator of that on the content side is the
Hmm.
in-platform engagement and metrics.
100%.
Like,
100%.
people talk about impressions and stuff as like a vanity metric. And I don't agree with that. Like, what we need to see is, we're not going to measure the success of this purely, for example, podcasts, like purely based on just the downloads. But do we want to see, like, to your point, you guys are at hundreds of downloads, you want to be at thousands. If we go from hundreds to thousands, it's very clear that we have been executing well and we are
Hmm.
resonating more. And
Hmm.
let's say the consumption rate goes from 60% to 80%. So people are now
Huge.
consuming,
Yeah.
80% of the content versus 60. All of these things matter. And those to me are like, that's the leading indicator that's going to then ultimately result in the more qualified, higher traffic, qualified traffic numbers increasing,
100%.
all of that stuff.
I think in-platform metrics get a bad rap, and this is true for both like content, organic content and also paid content. I
Yep.
tell this to marketing teams all the time that if your impressions aren't going up, there's no way your effectiveness is going up.
Totally. Yep.
So now those impressions have to be your audience.
Yep.
So, and I don't know if people have this hack, but on LinkedIn, you can actually see the demographic information of the people on every post.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell that out of the 10,000 impressions that I got, what percentage were VP marketing.
Yep.
And I want that number to be as high. I don't want all my friends and random salespeople to be liking my content. What's the value of that?
Yep.
But like if my ICP impressions are good, again, qualified, impressions,
Yes.
then that's a great thing. And let's move that number up and to the right. Same thing for, podcast downloads is the same sort of concept. It's harder to get some of this data. Like, why would people download a marketing science podcast if they're not interested in marketing science, right? So some of that is like self-fulfilling. And then let's get that number to be as high as possible.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, I guess, like, are there any other interesting observations, or maybe experiments that you are looking at running, like, what for the future, like anything you're excited about, like, oh, I'm starting to see an opportunity with this. And it could be on the measurement side, like from what you all help companies solve, or it could be on like your all's like content strategy. But yeah, just curious, like, what you've got a little hunch about or you're excited about.
I think the measurement stuff is easy. So if people are interested, they can go check out Paramark and the blog, and we have lots of good content there. I am personally, and this is going to sound weird, I'm personally interested in churning out a lot of video content through AI. And I think that's a massive opportunity that people have no clue what's about to hit them. I'll tell you where this is coming from. Did you see the Calci? I don't know how to pronounce that company's name. Calci ad that was AI generated. I don't know if you've heard
I've
this.
seen a bunch of them. I don't know if it was that one though, but yeah.
It aired during the NBA Finals.
Oh yeah,
it was done
Yep.
in 2 days
Yeah.
for I think less than a couple of $1,000, and somebody wrote about this. And I thought it was a genius ad. It was funny. It was edgy. It played into the brand. It's a betting or some type of a poly market type of thing. Like, it all worked. It worked fabulously. And so that got me thinking that, hey, there are ways to do this that I think people are just not fully embracing. So I'm telling every one of our customers, go play with those video AI tools, because it's not just about the production of the video AI. It's somebody had to give it the prompts to come up with that narrative.
Yeah.
That's still a human being. That's still you and me. And so, you're not completely giving up control. You're still doing the hard work on the narrative and the strategy, but the production has gotten so much better.
Yep.
And we started playing around with AI video 2 years ago. My video editor has been playing with it, and we come up with shit like, this doesn't literally look good. We can't really put it out there. Now I'm like, go, go, go. We are, we're going to put a whole bunch of video content out. So that I think is a thing that I'm super excited about. And then I noticed something really interesting. 2 days ago, on my own personal YouTube feed, I started noticing completely AI-driven YouTube shorts
Mm-hmm.
with tens of thousands of likes.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed myself liking them.
Yeah.
It's a very meta moment where I'm like, oh, that was actually a funny, comedic 6-second skit
Yeah.
on YouTube. And I know it's AI.
Yep.
The handle even says it's AI.
Yep.
And there's 50,000 hits on it.
Yep.
And I was like, okay,
Yes.
the time is here. So
Yes.
that was my big, video AI is going to be massive, massive.
That's such a good one to note. And I agree. And I think it's still early to kind of like make this statement, but I think to me it already seems pretty clear that AI video content, like there's gonna be some people who don't like it, but most people, if it like matches what they're interested in and it's good content, they're not gonna care.
I'm not going to care.
They're not gonna care. And so as content marketers, like I think what we need to realize is plan for in 2 years or 3 years or whatever, maybe faster, who knows, there to be 10,000 times more video content literally on YouTube and 10,000 times more content than there is today on LinkedIn and all of these channels. And so we need to keep that in mind with like this moment in time we're in right now, I think, and capitalize as much as we can, because like, I don't think it's a very safe bet to make of like, well, we'll still be better than AI content because like we're going to create it from the actual people. So like we'll have an advantage over the AI content. And I don't know if that's a safe bet to make. I don't think you should only make AI video content, but I think that this can supercharge what you're doing. For example, we're working with a company that has customers all over the world. And they have a great YouTube channel. We're helping them with their organic YouTube channel. And it's a real domain expert in their company recording the videos. But what we're doing, which is just a very like very obvious utilization of AI video now, is we're localizing the language for that. So now that video is perfectly in German, perfectly in Italian, perfectly in Spanish, with the captions, with the effects, with everything perfect. And then the voiceover, and the mouth movement.
Okay. That's okay.
Yes.
That Yes. Didn't I feel like YouTube or Google just announced that they're going to offer that by default in YouTube, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
I think at least the voice dubbing, but probably not the mouth syncing, the lip syncing.
There'll be like 60% solution, like very easily, click of a button. And then if you want to get it to like 100, it's much easier. I mean, it would have been impossible before. You would need an army of people. Like
I'm about to send a customer newsletter. It's not a newsletter, it's a Slack message, but it's a customer message that we send out every 2 weeks. And I noticed that Gemini launched just this morning. You upload a photo and then you can just prompt it to make it a video.
Yeah.
And it's like it's on their Twitter feed. It's like amazing. So I'm like, hey, anybody making static ads, go try this right now.
Yeah.
Right. So there's so much good stuff happening. It's like a marketer's dreamland.
Yes. I think it's an optimistic point of view to have. Like it can be scary a little bit right now. I think there's a lot of fear mongering too. But But and then the last thing I'll mention on this is like I think that there's an opportunity for you to have an AI influencer that represents your company. And you're not hiding, you're not pretending that it's like a real person. You're like, this is our AI.
I literally talked about this with our video guy. It's like, hey, should we do a corporate bro, but like Paramark version of corporate bro, and
Exactly.
they're listed as an employee? And I was like, is this against LinkedIn's policies? Like, so I think you're 100% right that if you and I are talking about this, and I had the same thought last week, this is going to be a thing.
Totally.
Absolutely going to be.
Awesome. Pranav, this was awesome. Yeah, love your content, love your insights. I recommend everybody to, number one, go study what you're doing. Go check out your podcast, go check out your LinkedIn, go check out your newsletter. I find the best insights come from like studying what people are actually doing. And then obviously if anybody's in the market for help with the measurement side of things, go to Paramark. But yeah, anywhere else specific you'd recommend people to go check out?
No, that's it. Go to LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, or go check out paramark.com. We send out a biweekly newsletter. I think it's pretty good. You'll learn something out of it. And yeah, those are great places to go.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. This was fun.
Thank you, Eric. This was fantastic.